just go over some basic things again. There's a couple of things that I definitely want to make sure we hit today. Okay, so what happened, and we're going to look at some text. So when we have something, when we're reading something in Arabic, whether it's from the Book of Allah, something from the Prophet ﷺ, or any Arabic text, right? Because the goal is to start reading for comprehension. We definitely want to begin speaking. And that comes. If we was children, we would definitely learn how to speak. But we're adults, so we don't have all that kind of time. Be trying to, but we definitely should learn how to speak. Speaking is very, very vital. So you should practice. But for what we're trying to do in this class, that when we're reading text, we want to get to the point where we can read for comprehension. Practice using our dictionary, because the dictionary is going to aid us tremendously in putting it all together. Like I mention all the time, the meaning is really not the primary goal. When you look at something, the goal for comprehension is not through just knowing because you know what the word means. Anybody can tell you what the word means. Do you comprehend what's going on grammatically? That's your quest. That's the goal. That should be your niyat. Do I understand what's going on grammatically? If you understand what's going on grammatically, knowing the meaning of a word is not a big issue. It's because, like, for example, we speak English. English is our mother tongue. If we are people who are accustomed to reading, some people are, they're avid readers. They just read. Maybe because we don't do enough reading, that's why we don't have the vocabulary. And if you don't know a word, that's not a shameful thing. It's not, sometimes you pick up a book, you read in English, you don't know this word. Nothing is wrong with that. There's no shame in not knowing. What the shame is pretending to know when you don't know. That's the shame. If you don't know, you look it up in a dictionary, you ask somebody what this word means, and you move on. But our goal for comprehension should be based on comprehending the grammar in that text. And there's a procedure. There's certain things that has to be done, and to ensure that you gain the most from that. And then everything is in levels. Everything is in levels. In the beginning you may learn the very basic concept of a grammar point. And as you graduate and get better in your Arabic studies, those same points, like in arithmetic or in math, as you get more confidence and more structure, you can see that you can take them and turn them around and make another concept. Like if, we know how to add, we know how to subtract, but you don't learn how to divide before you learn how to subtract. We know how to add. We don't multiply until you learn how to add, right? And with all that there, teacher come in first grade or kindergarten and try to teach somebody the Pythagorean theorem. The kids, man, what's wrong with you? But those concepts are there at the very beginning. So everything has its place. So, and the first thing we always start out with, and we're going to keep drilling this, is because you have to see words, classify the words. There are three categories for words, right? So we all good on the categories of words, and then each of them have subdivisions. There are many different types of ism, types of verbs, types of particles. So we good on that, so we can move on, right? All right. So we're going to stop then with the category of the nouns for a moment. We talked about last week about the demonstrative pronouns and the pronouns, and we looked at how we took the whole table of pronouns, how to, not just because we've been focusing on just the singular. So we looked at the singular, the dual, as well as the plurals for those pronouns. Remember?
Yes.
Right? So we had huwa, hiya. What's the dual? Huma, whom, hunna. That's finished. Now we on second person. Second person always refers to the person you're speaking to. Right? So we have, right, there's only 5 of them. Anta, anti, antuma for the dual, antum, Antunna. Finish. Right? Now we at first person. First person, there are only two pronouns we have to deal with, which are ana and nahnu. And they're done. Right? So those are our unattached pronouns. And we said these pronouns are basically and primarily used as the subject of a sentence. Right? Huwa Muslim. He a Muslim. Huma? Muslim man. Or huma? Feminine.
Muslimat.
Huma. How you make a dual again? How you make a dual? Aleph and Noon. So if it's Muslimat with ta marabuta, you retain the ta, put an aleph on the end of it. Muslimatan. Okay? Whom? Muslimun. And then hunna. Muslimat. Okay? And we're going to hopefully get into that today about our plurals. Okay? Again, just as a review, point of review, right? So, our unattached pronouns are primarily used as the subject of a sentence. Then we went and looked at our attached pronouns. The thing about the attached pronouns can be attached to any of the three word types. Attached to a noun, they can be attached to a verb, and they can be attached to a particle. Okay? And when they are attached to, depending on what they're attached to, tells their purpose. This is why, I don't know any other way how to say it. The most important thing is to know the value of something and the purpose of something. Then you know how it's being used. So if you see some script, some text, if you don't know that this is a noun, versus a verb or a particle, that's part of the comprehension right there. If everybody following the point. If you don't know that it's a noun, being attached to a noun means one thing, but being attached to a verb means something else. Just like being attached to a particle means something else. The first thing about a pronoun is that we know that a pronoun, basic definition of a pronoun is what?
Takes the place of a noun.
Takes the place of a noun. That's the best way of understanding a pronoun. It's a word that's used in place of, so we can avoid re-mentioning that noun again. So it takes the place of that noun, right? That's a pronoun takes the place of a noun. When you hear that, takes the place of a noun. So really, in the place of the pronoun, if you was to take the pronoun out of the way, that noun has to come back. In Arabic, we call a pronoun. This is a pronoun. We call it the Arabic word for pronoun is damir. But in grammar, it's referred to as an a'id. It's something that goes back. It goes back to something that was already mentioned. Okay? So, when we attach it to a noun, okay, the purpose of it now, again, is that basically the purpose of it now, so if we have a noun, like when we attach it to a noun, what we're really doing is that we're forming our idafa. And we remember the rules for the idafa. Everybody remember the rules for the idafa? Okay, right? So in Arabic, right, the idafa has two parts. Right? Idafa has two parts. First part is called mudaf. Right? And then the second part is called mudafun ilayh. Okay. So the idafa, the purpose of an idafa, right, is basically to show relationship or possession. Okay. In English, they may, grammar, they probably call this here a construct phrase. Okay. They probably call this in English grammar, a construct phrase. I mean, what that is in English, but from what I understand, the best way to look at it is like a compound noun. When you take two nouns and you put them together. This idafa literally means to annex, to annex, to place side by side. This is what idafa literally means. Okay? So we're going to take two nouns and we're going to put them side by side. This is what an idafa is. And the purpose of this annexation or this union is to show either possession or show some kind of relationship. Okay? That's the purpose of this. Okay? And it has these two words. These two terms are called mudaf, mudafun ilayh. The first word is called mudaf, and the second word is called mudafun ilayh. They come one after the other. Okay? Nothing separates these two words. Okay? And there's conditions. There are conditions. So for the mudaf cannot begin with alif and lam, and it cannot end in tanween. That's it for the mudaf. Right? So if we take a noun, right, like kitab, by itself we know it's kitabun. Right? Out of the gate, kitabun. Right? Qalamun. Or we can put alif lam on it. El kitabu, el qalamu. Right? But when we make an idafa, if we're going to use this as an idafa, it can't take the tanween, nor can it take alif and lam. Okay? So, we have to then say, if we want to say kitab, so we have to say kitabu, for an example. And now we want our mudafun ilayhi. Now, what's the conditions for mudafun ilayhi? There's only one condition for mudafun ilayhi. That noun, which is being used as mudafun ilayhi, must be majrur. Must be majrur. Majrur is a term in i'rab, meaning, right? The simplified meaning